Although the pacing really wasn't bad for me, it was just I couldn't bring myself to do work outside of class. I just had really bad executive dysfunction. Like, streaming, it's interesting because there are a lot of days where streaming is just 2 spoons intensive and I can't do it. But streaming was like my refuge from feeling paralyzed, you know? So, and people are like, oh, well, of course it's playing video games. Obviously, you want to do that more than you want to do homework. And it's like, I mean, of course, but I can also control myself most of the time, you know? So it's like that feeling of feeling like you can't get yourself to do something that you know you need to do is horrible, especially in the type of society we live in where like so much emphasis or so much worth is placed on you depending on how much work you're able to do, you know? Which I think is so unfair. It is so unfair. It's not a matter of do I think it is? No, like the fact is it is very unfair to measure people's worth based on their potential probability or potential productivity versus actual productivity, you know? Like it's first of all that's arbitrary as fuck because you could be as productive of a human as you want if you're not changing anyone's life, if you're not, and I don't mean in a drastic way, like if you're just not positively influencing someone's life, whether it's your own, someone around you, like what are you doing? Who cares how productive you are? You're not affecting anything, you know? If being very productive makes you feel good and turns you into a better person to be around, then you're still like that small thing is still positively influencing the world around you, right? But if you're someone who, like, I probably have ADHD, just like undiagnosed, untreated, and left to run amok, you know? So, someone like me, knowing that the world I live in values productivity, values people based on how much money they bring home, that is such a recipe for destruction, you know, for disaster. When I just name a Guns N' Roses album, uh, but it's such a recipe for disaster because it there's a bit of external pressure, you know, because there's always the thought of like, well, who cares what other people think? And it's like, yeah, of course. Like at the end of the day, who does give a shit what other people think? Like, or not so much who does give a shit, because tons of people give a shit, but how much does what other people think really truly affect you, like objectively, not oh it affects me because it makes me feel bad because of internalized shit that I have playing through my head because of more external factors, but really and truly, what do someone's words or thoughts that you are just guessing at, more than likely, what effect does that really have on you at the end of the day? And the answer is none. Like, really, it has no effect on you. However, again, like I said, we internalize things and we turn the words, not even the actual words necessarily. Sometimes, yes, people say what they mean what they say, and they'll say horrible shit to you, and that sucks. But sometimes people make a face for whatever reason, or they say something in a tone that's like not quite the tone you were expecting, and then our minds run wild with that because they're like, yes, hello, I am your brain and I am here to make you feel insecure and horrible about yourself, you know? And it's like, bitch. It's the worst. So, you know, it's just, I don't know where I was going with that. I guess the point is, like, a big part of why my executive dysfunction makes me feel so shitty is that there's all of that external, you're only worth something if you bring in money. You're only worth something if you have a degree. You're only worth something if you have, like, these grades or whatever, you know? All of that is floating around constantly. Some of it directly, in fact, all of it directly, and most of it, you like infer from the way society treats you or the way society is built. You know, it's like white privilege and systemic racism are those same, and in many cases much worse concepts, you know? And so I was struggling really hard with executive dysfunction and feeling paralyzed. And of course, streaming is something that I always feel like it's where I turn when I feel like nothing else in my life is in control. Because I can control almost every aspect of streaming. The only part of streaming that I can't control is my internet. And of course, currently, my PC itself and its capabilities, because I'm broke.